Othering Podcast explores the world of marginalized communities with a focus on the disabled and LGBTQ+. In our discussions, we will provide a platform for our guests to advocate and share their stories. By delving deep into their difficulties and successes, we will explore the changes necessary to improve lives everywhere. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Othering Podcast with Mike and Dory.
PEP Radio, part of the Pennsylvania Equality Project, advocates for the rights of LGBTQ+ people, the disabled, and marginalized communities. We play music from all 7 continents from 1928 through 2025 in English, Spanish, German, African tribal languages, Korean, and Japanese. We also offer news, history lessons, and are proud to include the Othering Podcast in our programming lineup. Tune in on the Live 365 app, Roku, and Alexa every Saturday and Sunday at 4 p.m.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Hanging in there. All right, today we are talking to Monika. Monika is an artist and life coach based in Alberta, Canada. Diagnosed with scoliosis, she lives with 2 rods and 36 screws, just a few, in her spine and is currently awaiting further diagnosis related to joint and degenerative issues. Monika's art is rooted in the magic of small moments, which she calls life's glimmers, and she helps others reconnect with joy, self-expression, and purpose through creative coaching. Her mission is to inspire people to live intentionally and see the beauty in the everyday. Welcome, Monika.
Oh my God, Monika.
Monika. There you go.
We've invented a new country.
It's great to have you.
That is so funny. My fiance's brother actually calls me Minoko because somebody wrote my name wrong on a coffee cup, so this just adds to that. That is beautiful.
And I misspelled your name on the email setting all this up. I'm just a mess.
I like that. New country, Monika.
Monika from Canada, Monika.
Yes.
Yep. I can see why it happened.
Anyway.
I like that. Well, anyway, thank you for coming and welcome. We are very pleased to have you on here, Monika from Canada. And so let's start with your scoliosis. Were you diagnosed early, or was it kind of like, surprise, you have scoliosis later on in life?
Oh, it was definitely caught early, which is nice. So apparently, in the olden times, they used to have school checkups where like nurses came to do scoliosis checks.
I remember
that.
That
didn't happen at all in our school, so I wasn't caught as early as it could have been caught, but I was caught when I was 11. And it was caught because I just started having really bad back pain out of nowhere. And my mom took me to a chiropractor, and that chiropractor said, I can't touch her. Which was disconcerting because I was like, I just want something fixed, right? Like I want to not be in pain as a 10-year-old. And so they took us to, like, they gave us a referral and took us to like the children's hospital where I had a whole slew of treatments.
What kind of treatments are there for that? I mean, I know there's the surgery, but are there other things that help get it back into place?
Oh, 100%. So some people have success with like working out and like using muscle balances and strengthening certain muscles to straighten your spine. For younger kids, there's a type of surgery that, because their bones aren't fully developed yet, they put really strong magnets in your spine. So instead of like stuck rods and screws, the magnets straighten the spine, but still give you that like flexibility, torso bending and twisting. Mm-hmm. What my mom did at the time was we wore something called a Boston brace. So it's this like super hard plastic that has like a half a centimeter, half a meter. No, not a meter, half an inch. Sorry, the whole like metrics system thing. But it has like a thin little bit of padding, and you wear it, and it like Velcros you in and kind of compresses you. Okay. So it like goes from like super high up in your armpit to like just before your sit bone, and then goes all the way around with like a slit at the back where it like pushes together, makes room for you to get in. And generally they'll have you wearing that for 20 hours out of the day. So you sleep in it, you go to school in it, you do everything in it. And then you get 4 hours of what I called freedom. I hated that thing.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, kids actually at school used to punch me in the gut because they knew I couldn't feel it while I was wearing my brace. And it was like a whole school joke, and I didn't think it was funny at the time. But now I can look back and laugh at it being funny.
That just, oh,
Yeah.
the pain I imagine from it, because I've seen many other of my friends growing up having to wear those braces too, and
Mhm.
they would always kind of complain about being in pain. Did it cause more pain for you on top of the back pain from scoliosis?
I think yes. Um, Particularly because like there's a window on one of the sides where like your ribs can kind of pop out. And my ribs do like even I'm not braced anymore and my ribs still like pop and move and like are super flexible. So I think like sometimes they just kind of popped out of that window and that was extra painful. But because of the way that my curves were even so young, I've just like always had the back pain. Like it's always been so predominant that any other pain's kind of like
I understand that. You mentioned that your ribs kind of pop out. Do you happen to have Ehlers-Danlos? Because so many people
Yeah.
that we've talked to, that I follow and read about and such, talk about, just joints subluxating and actually popping out completely. And
It's actually crazy that you mentioned that because I follow a lot of people with Ehlers-Danlos as well, and I'm actually trying to chase the diagnosis, or like I think it's that way based off all of the research I've done myself. I am not formally diagnosed, but like I feel like it's heading that way, and so because I'm waiting on all the specialists, I don't actually know. But like I have all the other symptoms, like my jaw also dislocates on command. I realize that nobody on the podcast can actually see that I just did that. And like the soft velvety skin, the like a multitude of other issues that come with it. I feel like for me it makes sense.
were you also like kind of klutzy when you were growing up as well?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a big one too, that I've read about, and like people saying that they were klutzy. Some people said they weren't, but
And I would imagine the back being out of whack would cause that too.
well, yeah, of course it would.
Well, and something that I've actually been learning on my research journey is that scoliosis is a symptom of Ehlers-Danlos symptoms.
Seems like everything is.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Literally. So that's one of the things that like I'm working on trying to figure out. That's very interesting that you thought that too. Cool.
Yes, it is actually.
Validation.
And because it's just, you said that, and I'm like thinking, that sounds so familiar from what we've talked with other people about, and how they just kind of walking along, and all of a sudden they turn their head, and ribs go pop, 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 or something,
Yeah.
and it's just, which is kind of scary at the same time of just ew. Too, it's like a really cool party trick at the same time, and like my one of my family members used to be able to pop their eye out, and it was kind of cool. And it wasn't a real eye. I have to specify that it wasn't
course.
his real eye. It's not like he's popping out his real eyeball. But somebody I knew that used to be able to do that, and it was so cool watching that. At first, it terrified me, but after a while, it was cool. And I kind of see those as similar kind of ideas of just things that the body can do. Yeah, it's kind of an entertainment thing, because like when we were younger, there was no Ehlers-Danlos, or it wasn't called that, and I honestly don't know what it was called back when we were young. But nobody
Double
talked.
jointed.
Yeah, it was just you're double jointed. How cool is that?
Yeah, exactly, right? I think the internet has a lot to do with the widespread knowledge that like we can connect with other people like us, and if somebody has a medical diagnosis for it and realize that it wasn't actually double jointed, that it was actually a condition, then other people were like, oh, that actually makes sense. And they're like, oh, then maybe that's me. I totally think that the internet is an amazing resource for that way, particularly exactly what you guys are doing, raising awareness, visibility, bringing visibility to things. Like it's so important, and I love it.
Yeah. And
It is very important.
Instagram is basically where we got started. Dory was on her personal page finding all you guys, the chronic illness community, disabled community, even LGBTQ. She started it, and then we came up with it and kind of went from there. And that's our whole goal, is to really spread awareness and get the word out there.
Get people to like learn about our different, ailments or issues and things like that, whether it's mental or physical or just, being different. And it's important that we speak about these things, because when we kind of have conversations about it, it comes off as more of a comforting thing, and it's easier to learn new words, techniques, things like that when you're talking to people versus when somebody's got like big old whiteboard and this is point A and this is point B, and
More
some
relaxed.
people, and people learn different ways, but this is one of the ways that I prefer to kind of, I guess you could say, teach people the different stuff, because I love going down the rabbit hole, but I'm sure a lot of people don't.
Oh, but I love your style too, and that's what led me to want to participate too, is just through listening and hearing the dialogue, hearing the back and forth, the fun about it, and like having these important, stellar conversations about how awesome and sometimes not awesome it is to be different, but celebrate those things and have like fun with it. That's what's important.
Exactly.
So often with advocacy, it's doom and gloom.
Yeah, and I don't want the doom and gloom. As we get enough of that already, because we're disabled and because we're different, look different, behave different, whatever it is that makes us different. We get that enough from society or family, friends sometimes, and so I think a great way, and I've seen this millions of times too, is have joy, have pride in who you are. And
Laughter is the best medicine.
yeah, and that is a great way to what's the word? Great. Now I'm getting brain fog again. To fight back against the rhetoric of we're worthless, we're unlovable, or all that horrible crap that they try to push on us because they don't want to see us or something.
Exactly. It's rebellion. Was that the word you're looking for?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a
Totally.
great way to rebel against those, old societal norms of, well, you're disabled, you're not supposed to be seen, or you're LGBTQ, you need to be in a closet. No.
And none of that is true. None of that is true at all, especially when we live in a time where society is becoming more accepting. I'm not going to say
Yes.
we're there yet, because obviously not. But people are starting to be more open-minded. Talks like this are what increases that, right? And what keeps the joy and keeps it happy-ish. You know what I mean? Like, keeps
Yes.
it light.
Yeah.
And because sometimes
it's going in the right direction.
yeah, sometimes you need the doom and gloom, and sometimes you need the laughter in order to get through your day and, find a way to keep waking up the next day so that you can, fight the systems that want to keep us down and oppressed and, all that jargon.
Exactly. There's a time and place for each, and there's a point to each side of it.
Right.
I have another question about your scoliosis when you first started noticing it. You said you were around 11. That's kind of a good time for kids when you're really getting into stuff, playing, the roughhousing and stuff like that. Did you find that you missed a lot of that because of the pain and what you were going through?
So, I mean, as an only child and an autistic person, I was never really big on groups, and I was totally left out of all that anyway. Like, I made my first real friend in 3rd grade, so I can't really say that I missed out because of my scoliosis.
Okay.
I definitely did miss out when I started being braced, when it was like middle schoolish. That was when I started to feel like I was missing out more, because I had gym teachers dock me marks because it took me longer to change and take the brace off. I was docked marks because it was harder for me to participate, and I was in a lot of pain and nobody knew it. And like, when all you're given for pain is Tylenol because you're super little and they don't want to get you on something else, but it's not working. What else are you going to do other than like, can I please sit out today? Or can I just like walk the lap instead of run it? And I used to go to like an annual summer camp as well. And I was the only kid at this away camp that had to have a brace and take it on and take it off. And it was a horse riding camp. So like, that's when I really started to notice it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I love horseback riding. Did you enjoy it a lot when you got
so
to?
much. So much.
And you mentioned that you're autistic, and I want to kind of ask you about this because did you find that it was easier to connect with the animals at those camps than it was the other kids?
100%. I've always been that way. I'm a late diagnosed autistic, so I had no idea until I was 21. And I've always been that person to like at a friend's house or to group hangout or like whenever things like that happened, I navigate to the pets. I'm like the dog, bestie, cat, bestie, horse, bestie. You know what? There's a bird. Okay, I'm gonna go love on that birdie. You know, like
Yes.
100% always has been easier for me until I knew that I was autistic, because then I started finding people that communicated like me and that people that understood, and it became a lot easier. People who are like, have patience because I don't know when it's my turn all the time and I interrupt sometimes. Or people who want to do like monologuing back and forth. You info dump a little, I'll info dump a little, you know?
Yes. And I have to admit that it is much easier finding those people that talk the same way as me. I didn't realize I was neurodivergent until like 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, type of thing. And I had always felt like, off and just weird and kind of like different. And I always associated with my pets more. I loved being kind of, not always, but I liked being alone a lot too. And it just kind of recharged my batteries. And I just assumed it was because I was like one of those in between extrovert, introvert type of people. And now that I know that it's because I'm actually autistic and ADHD, it's like, oh, kind of thing, where it's like this big, huge, oh my God, that's what it is. That's why I'm like that. And then being able to find all of you that talk and think the same way, it's just like, oh my God, we unite.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's how diagnosis felt for me too. And my friend and I have found this quote, and it's that I'm not a failed human. I am a perfectly good autistic person.
I like that, yes.
And that's exactly how it feels to get a diagnosis, because I've had family members ask me too. They were like, why chase the diagnosis? Like, why actually go get it? It's okay if you know in your own head, but like, why do you need the doctor's say? That's why.
Yeah.
Because, and I would like to elaborate on that. It's just when you think for so long, even if it's just 5 years, because you're a 5-year-old little kid, feeling totally different, thinking totally differently, and realizing and seeing that you are different, but you don't know why, is kind of heartbreaking. And you think that, at least for me, it was just like, you're damaged. There's really just something wrong, unlovable, unlikable about you. And because that's why everybody leaves, is there's something wrong with you yourself. And I think we need to change that narrative, because there's nothing wrong with us. And we need to be seen sooner so that we don't go through so much trauma and so much pain of, I'm just gross, whatever. I'm not worthy of anything, when we are.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. That internalized, I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me. It breaks my heart thinking that kids grow up thinking that and feeling that way. I mean, I felt that way, and you felt that way, having been late to the game, finding out yourself. I feel the same way. We need to change that narrative. It needs to change, and it's super important. And I think that something that's really positive that's been happening, at least in Canada, I'm not sure about in the States, is that early childhood educators and preschool teachers are being taught what neurodiversity looks like, and how to provide affirming care.
Yes, that
That's
is a good
great.
thing, and
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to hear about that. Honestly, here it's kind of hit or miss. It depends on the state, unfortunately, because we're just there.
We're just America.
Yeah, you mean America. We have our good moments and we have our bad moments, as most countries do. But right now we're going through, I think, like a growing backwards phase and confused phase. So, and that's the other thing that like prompted us to do this, is because there's so much out there that makes people want to die. unalive themselves, however you want to put it. And I don't like, I mean, nobody likes it, but I want to do something about that because the pain that I felt growing up, being different, the pain that Mike has mentioned before about, you know, being different and not realizing who you are, what you are, kind of thing, until much, much later, like for us in our 40s, is kind of, it's a huge disservice.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine what people could do if they knew from the get-go that they thought differently and at how wonderful that is to think differently.
Exactly. And that's why it's so amazing what you guys have started and what you guys are doing, because you're starting that thought. And like, yes, we're aimed at like we're aimed at the communities of difference, and that's a lot of the listeners. But when people who don't necessarily have a condition, or maybe they aren't LGBTQ, and they find this podcast and they listen, they're gonna learn. Like they're gonna have something to think about. It's gonna spark that change, and that's so ridiculously important. And it makes me so happy that you guys are having that space and that creating that space, because someone needs to do it, right? And the more people that speak out about it, the more change is happening.
Yep, and that's exactly what we were trying for.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
She's getting a little emotional.
yeah, you're making me emotional.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Were you diagnosed with your autism late as well?
21.
Yes.
21? Okay.
21.
Did you
I
say that?
actually had to get diagnosed
Wow.
by two separate psychologists.
Oh,
Wow.
Okay.
Why?
The second one didn't believe me. I went to university in a separate province than the one I live now, and I got diagnosed there. And then when I moved back to the province that I live now, the records didn't transfer over, so they didn't believe me, and they had to send me for testing again. So twice verified.
Oh, wow.
At least you know it's true.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It's just,
Well, I didn't have a doubt at all.
yeah,
I figured it out, and I was like, "Oh, my life makes so much more sense." Like,
that's the
didn't make my
biggest
first
thing.
friend till third grade. Got sent home with books on empathy when I was in school because kids would bully me, and I just thought that's what being friends looked like, so I bullied them back. You know, like it's not that I actually had empathy issues. It's just that I just didn't understand the social construct.
Yeah.
And I think we actually have more empathy than we're given credit for. It's just it shows up in different ways. Because we're forced to mask so much, to look like, well, everybody else is doing this and everybody else is acting like this, then, well, we've got to do that too in order to fit in.
Exactly. Oh, and masking is so harmful. I'm still learning how to unmask. It's insane because like I work from home, I do my business from home, like I surround myself in an environment that's good for me. As soon as I step out of the house, I feel myself thinking about it. And this is why it's so exhausting to be social, because I can think about it. Oh, make sure I have a little tinge on my lips. Make sure I'm a little bit smiling, like even in a little corner. Otherwise, I'm going to freak people out. Or, oh, make sure I give that stranger a nod so they don't think I'm angry and mean. Or make sure that like, hi, thank you. How's your day? I forget to ask how your day is so often. And it's not because I don't care. It's just that I think that you should just foretell that information.
Yeah.
You just tell me all the things, you know? I shouldn't have to ask for you to want to tell me what's awesome in your day. Or even what's not awesome, you know, like just tell me things.
Yes. And I got so used to masking that those things kind of are automatic-ish to me. So like, but they're exhausting at the same time because even though you may have done it for like 20 plus years, you still get tired of having the mental notes in your head. Did I ask this? Did I say this? Did I smile just right? Or, you know, did I cower just right? And, you know, all of those mental cues that you have to have in order to quote unquote look correct in society's eyes. Otherwise, you know, you'll be labeled an angry, you know, resting bitch face or things like that. And it's not that you're necessarily a bitch. It's just you might be focused on something and you can't focus on that and having this big, huge cheese eating grin. And
Exactly. 100%. Exactly. Do you ever get the thing where like, and this is one of the things that I know I was dropping my mask when I started, and I did this all the time, but like when you've had a situation in public, you think you've done a really good job masking, and then you later replay it in your head and you're like,
Yeah.
Like I didn't
Yep.
actually mask as well as I thought I
Yes. I will replay the conversation. Oh my God, why didn't I say this at this
Yep.
point? Oh no, I should have refuted that. And why, what, oh my God, what is wrong with me? And it just,
Yeah.
Mike, like, we'd get pissed after like the first, I'd say like 5 interviews we did for our podcast. Cause I would be like, oh my God, I, was that even good? Was that, did I, come off too dorky? And, all those thoughts pop in your head. And it's kind of debilitating at the same time of just annoying, at least to me, because then you get so focused on that conversation that, you thought went really well, and then you're like freaking out in your head because you realize that your mask may have slipped a little, or, it may not have slipped, and you just think it may have slipped, and you're just like panicking. And it's kind of one of those types of moments where you just like, I gotta stop, and then you can't stop.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I feel the same way. It honestly, even every time I post a reel and I go back and watch it the next day and I'm like, please be okay. Please be okay. I think that's
Yep.
the hardest part about social media
Yes.
for me as an autistic person, and for you as well, because that's the whiplash of like, did I do that right? Am I coming off right?
Mm-hmm.
And my partner feels similarly to Mike, where if I am doing that after a social situation, he's like, let it go, you did fine. And I'm like,
Yes.
I can't.
Yeah, it's hard to let it go.
It depends on the situation. In the podcast, I can kind of judge that it went well based on the guest and how they acted through it. So I knew it went fine. So in that situation, I was good. But I am notorious for worrying about what other people think. Like all the time, no matter what I do. I work outside the home and I hate it because I'm always so terrified of what everyone thinks when I'm there.
Yeah,
So.
and that's the other thing is like I got so good at masking that like after a bit I was a professor of information technology for a while, and I would come home drained, like completely and utterly drained, as if not only had I run a marathon, but I was also performing surgery, like on a hand. And it felt like I was also, writing a dissertation on how the world spins at the same time. And it was just like, it was like all of that at once. And I would just be so exhausted because of this feeling of you need to feel like you have to do a song and dance, which is what it is. And, everybody does it to an extent. I get that. But there's a difference, kind of like a difference between you're exhausted and having chronic fatigue syndrome exhaustion. And when you're so used to masking and you come home and you're able to demask, you're exhausted. You're like
Oh yeah.
completely and utterly wiped out. And then trying to interact with anybody after that is, it's awful. Because you feel like, and then you get that horrible guilt of, well, I'm supposed to be able to be on for my family, but yet it's not there. And I felt like that until I was diagnosed, and it's just like, oh, that's why.
Well, and that goes to say too, like the family you have plays a role too in how you decompress at home and how you demask at home too, right? Like I used to live with people who would think that I was crazy, or that would like force me to do things, and I would end up blowing up, and I felt real bad because I had a plan in my head that like, I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna sit on the couch, I'm gonna have some dinner, and I'm just gonna relax. I don't want to say a word, I just want to chill. And they would have a whole different plan. None of that was communicated, obviously, and I would just get super upset because I couldn't follow the plan that I had, and I was so exhausted I didn't know how to articulate that properly. But now I found a person, and I live with my partner, who understands where I'm coming from. If I can say, hey, I've had a really overwhelming day, I just need like 30 minutes to myself, and then I can make us dinner, and we can like, I want to hear about your day, and I want to be intentional, and I want to listen. And he's like, yeah, that sounds good. And he feels like he gets the same way. He comes home and he needs a break, and he's like, okay, I want to ask about your day, but I want to be intentionally listening. So can I have like a few minutes? Can I have a beat? And then we can go in and be intentional and be on for our relationship, right? And like having that intentionality to it is a huge marker for me that really helps.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
Did you have that growing up too with your family?
No. My family is very on.
yes.
My family are people who like there's never an excuse to stop moving. There's never an
Yep.
excuse to like not do something. Your pain's not an excuse. Never let that stop you from doing anything.
Yep.
I mean, I loved and hated hearing that because yes, there is it is a reason that I don't do things, and there's like it is a genuine reason to not hurt myself.
Right.
But at this point, like I know they meant it empoweringly, and I most of the time took it empoweringly, but sometimes it just kind of like sucks hearing that,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, my family was, it's 7 a.m. I'll let you sleep till 8. That's sleeping in on the weekends because, you're burning daylight. How could you possibly burn daylight? How could you possibly not be up and wanting to get everything done? And, you gotta go, 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 go. And,
Oh yeah.
And, part of it also has to do with the generation that my parents are from. A lot of people were like that, and I love you, mom and dad, don't worry. But at the same time, I think that I had troubles with that because of my neurodivergence, but we didn't know this. And so it wasn't that my family was like, against me knowing this and against what I may have needed, but because we didn't know what I needed, because we didn't know what I had, it's kind of hard to know how to not only articulate from my point of view what I need, but it's also hard for them to even think of what you might need.
Yeah, exactly. When you don't even know. Yeah. I very much feel the same way. Like I love my family, my parents as well. And I think it depends on like who you have access to as like learning and how you figure it out. Because like you, I didn't know what I needed either. And my stepbrother is severe high support needs, mostly nonverbal, had a lot more troubles than I am, type of autistic. And because of that, I couldn't possibly be autistic. Like,
Right.
it wasn't even
had
on
to be
my
the strong
radar.
one. Yeah, you had to be the strong one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like, I'm pretty sure my parents still don't think I'm autistic, which is like fine. If they want to believe that, that's cool. Like, I'm not going to push it. It's not my main agenda when it comes to that. But I feel like where you feel as well is it would have been nice to know what I needed.
Yes. And that goes with pain too. Like when you have pain and you don't know what it is, what's going on with your body, it's kind of frustrating growing up with that constant pain. And even if you do know what it is, but there's not much. Like when I was growing up again, pretty much it was either surgery or you were in that god awful cast for any type of scoliosis. And I discovered I had it again much, much later than I should have because I guess it was too mild or something. I don't know, but whatever the reason, I always had back pain. And it was again for my family and all that stuff. It was just, well, we got to keep going. Don't let it override you. Don't, let it stop you from doing what you want. And again, that's great. You shouldn't have to let your disabilities or your pain stop you, but at the same time, maybe let it stop you.
Yeah.
Because,
well, and that's exactly it. I feel the same way. Like, I love the empowering aspect. Like, I love that they were trying to be empowering. And I love that even for you, like, they were trying to make it so that you still lived a good life and that you still made a good thing for yourself. But I think that and this may be where the connection is that there is a difference between letting it be an excuse that stops you and letting it be a reason that you make reasonable accommodations and adjustments for yourself to reach the goal by different means.
Right.
Well said.
And very well said. And sometimes you need to let it stop you because, like, when you have, say, for instance, chronic fatigue syndrome, also known as myalgic ME.
That one.
I can read it, but I can't say it.
It's a whole bunch of letters.
Yes. But when you have that, sometimes you just can't. And that's okay too. And I think that's what we all need to understand is that we can sometimes let it take over that moment and just relax. And if you can't ever, you can't. That's fine. We need to stop thinking in terms of production and we're only worthy if we're producing something.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That's hugely it. Because as humans, one of my clients said this to me one time and it just stuck with me, that by design, as soon as you are born, you are a human and you are worthy. And I'm not going to even try to jump on the pro-life versus pro-choice debate. That's not where I'm going with this at all. But like, as soon as you are an alive human, you are worthy just by existing. Productivity does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bonus. That's an added bonus because society demands it, not because we're not worthy because we don't exist. Like we exist, you know?
Yeah. And we shouldn't have to worry about whether or not we're producing at like the highest levels possible, because some of us just can't, and that's fine. You know, some of us, our products are being there, being able to listen, being able to just give a hug, or, you know, be a good ear to hear, you know, things, and or to create music, and not necessarily for everybody, but just for a few people.
Exactly. And like, even so much to say is to speak on a podcast, to be a family member and to love your family and be loved by your family. Like, that's what I mean. The whole human experience of existing and having close relationships, that's worthy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. And the only time that you are not worthy is when you're a shithead, and we have plenty of that.
Exactly.
And so, like, I love that kind of thought process that you have that too, because that's revolutionary right there. Is understanding that although we live in capitalistic societies where, you know, capitalism is 100% just to drain people, squeeze every little last drop out of everything, whether it's a resource, inanimate object, animate object, it doesn't matter. Every last drop must be sucked out. And that's not who we are. That's not how we are made. We can't give to just one thing. We have the capacity to give to many things, and we should be allowed to, you know, navigate that, not just through art or, you know, creating programs or anything like that. Just breathing and looking at the trees should be good enough too.
Yes, exactly. Taking that time to be intentional, feeling the bliss of sun on your skin, because that's a really heckin' good feeling. And I definitely feel the same way you do, that joy, that intentional living, that like presence in the moment should be enough too.
Yeah.
It kind of brings me back to like, and I've said this before to like my friend, not so much in a public space, but I'm going to take that shot anyway, that I think that we were closer to how humans should function when we lived in a society that was like, I'll trade you this amazing handmade pot that I made if you cook me dinner for a week, or like provide me with cooked dinners for a week. You know, like, not that that's actually like a good monetary or value like equation right there, but like that trading. I have this and I need that, but I don't need this anymore. Can we trade? Like trading value rather than monetary value, because money is made up.
Yes.
It's made up.
It is.
We were so much closer because in trading societies, you did what fulfilled you or what you were good at, and it afforded you things, you know?
Exactly.
Right.
And you were able to then, because you were able to hone what you were good at and what you loved, you were able to then give it as a gift for somebody else. And then they could give you as a gift what they were good at, what they loved. You know, you know, if they're great at baking bread, they'd give you bread and you'd work on their teeth. And, you know, kind of like keeps you fed, keeps you clothed. And I think that's a beautiful thing that we should kind of consider, because money is made up. I know it's, you know, la la land to some people, but I don't care. I'm allowed my la la land moments.
Me too.
And it's just, money just kind of seems to have caused so much ills. It's not just money. There's other things, but, you know, that's not the podcast at the moment. So we'll not talk about that right now. But there's just so much push for, you gotta be worthy. If you're not a CEO, then why are you even living? And, you know, if you're not a Musk and, you know, being able to be a billionaire and all that stuff, then why are you even here? Type of thing. But not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants that. And we shouldn't all want that because we are different. And that's what makes us beautiful. As, you know, sappy as that sounds. And, yeah, let me cue the throw up sounds, but but it's true though, because we are so different. We are worthy of so many different things, way more than millions of dollars. Don't get me wrong. I will happily take them. If you want, if you're feeling really generous.
Oh, dude, I would also totally take $1 million, $1 billion, and be a billionaire and never have to work for the rest of my life. But that wouldn't stop me from thinking what we're thinking.
Right.
That hustle culture is totally the loss of individuality, the loss of that creativity, that sense of self, even. Because even if I'm thinking about it on a deeper level, which again we don't have to go deeper into because it's not the topic of this, but from school you're taught show up, follow the structure, go home, then you get free time, then you do what you do, then you do it and then you go your thing. But school was created by design to create good factory workers.
Right.
Literally why. Like, it was created to raise factory workers. But my aunt homeschools her kids, and they are all way smarter than their grade level by age. They are all finding passions. They are all creating businesses and careers and like destinations for themselves far ahead of time because they are learning at their own pace. They are learning what is subjective and interesting to them, and their life has a lot more meaning. And obviously this is coming from an outsider perspective, but like it seems like their life has a lot more individuality and meaning.
Yes. And it's important that, like, I think we should have like a good healthy mix of both individuality and the collective. Like we all share this earth. If we all have to live together, then we have to have a collective of, we have to protect our earth. We have to, you know, make sure that we're not destroying it for one person and then being like, well, why are you here? Well, you destroyed everybody else's country. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to come here. So we have to have that collective thought of how is this going to affect other people too? And then we have to have the individual thought of how is this going to work for me? How can I, you know, contribute? And by contribute, I don't necessarily mean work. It could be art. It could be just hugs, kisses, whatever it is that you need. Pets. Well, I don't think you should pet people, but if the person, you know, we'll talk about kinks on another episode, but you know, if that's your kink, go ahead, pet people. But it should be, you know, individual and collective, and, you know, understanding that we all have something to give beyond just money.
You've said it a couple times, art.
Art.
Yeah, and you, Monica, do a lot of art, and you use that in your coaching. Is that correct?
I do. That's actually my entire framework.
Can you kind of talk about how that works?
How do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that it's important to note, and it's kind of common knowledge, that your logic side of your brain and your art side of your brain are completely different, right?
Yep.
And I'm not going to claim to be a therapist, but I know that when I'm doing art, if I'm just doing art to create, that's amazing and that's worth it. But when you put intentional reflection behind it, you can actually create some total aha moments that your logic brain can't come up with by itself, you know? So my entire framework is intentionally choosing an art prompt or a collage or some sort of creative prompt for a client to do, and then pairing it with intentional reflection questions. So why did you choose that color here? What does that mean to you? Did you know that before you picked this color? Was it actually an aware choice? Or interesting, we're making this piece about how you feel about your body. Why did you pick this super sharp image versus this super round image? I saw you wrestling with both. Why? You know? And when I started doing that to myself, and I say doing that to myself, I mean, like, when I started doing the reflection to myself and treating myself like one of my own clients, that's when I found super peace with my diagnosis. And I get it, like, grief comes in waves with diagnosis. It comes and goes.
Yes.
Yep.
But in the hard moments, if I do a quick little, like, I'm feeling this certain way, like throw it at a canvas or choose a color and reflect on it, that's when I have the meaningful shifts. That's when I realize that, oh, this certain thing that I do in my life brings my soul joy and it doesn't kill my body to do it. Maybe I should lean into that. Or, oh, you know what? I had this social interaction the other day and I'm feeling in my head about it. Let's draw about it. Or like, let's put some art out. And then the creative side of my brain goes, it's a connection you didn't see before.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I like that. That's beautiful, actually. Because I have to say that growing up, I've appreciated art, but I've always been frustrated by it because it's like, I want it to be like, you know, Picasso and Rembrandt as soon as I touch it. And I know that it can't be that way because even they started off with, you know, little stick figures and such and, you know, grew into what they were able to do. And, or at least I hope that's what it is. It makes me feel better. And I can do it, but I get so frustrated so fast and so easy because it's not like I can repeat it constantly at the level I expect it to be. And so for me, art kind of pisses me off.
Actually, that's quite common, especially amongst neurodivergent folks, because there's a lot of like, if I'm not good at it immediately, I don't want it.
Yes, that's.
I
oh my
kind of
God.
went to that. I used to love art as a kid. I wanted to be a designer growing up. I had all these big plans, and then recently I don't really care for art anymore because it's exactly that. It's either not good enough, or I don't know what to do, or just I've really fallen out of it because of that.
And it's, for me, that's so sad. Like, I hear that, and that's so sad. I also went through like a gray period where I didn't do art and it wasn't doing it for me. But that's one of the things that I'm trying to fight, is that there is such thing as a good at it.
Right.
Because there's a such thing as professional artists where their arts are in galleries, they're like making millions of dollars off pieces and thousands of dollars and things like that. But just because you're not that doesn't mean you're not an artist.
Right.
I'm not in galleries. I didn't take thousands of dollars in courses for art history and art technique and art therapy. I'm still an artist.
Yes.
If you have a little kid who drew a flower and they're like, I'm an artist, are you going to tell them no? No.
Well, it depends on the kid, but yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Yes, I mean, very much. If it's actually awful, you could say, But to that same degree, even the awful things have meaning.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
It's like penicillin was discovered by accident, right? So is artistic talent.
the telephone was invented by accident. I mean, so I think a lot of things actually were created, invented, thought up by accident because it was trying to solve the problem of something else. And I love what you said about we don't need to be, you know, professional at it. And I think that's where, especially knowing that I'm neurodivergent, and I've noticed that other neurodivergent people do this as well, is that if we're not, like you said, immediately good at it, then it's not worth my time. On to the next. And I think we kind of feel like, well, automatically it's professional level. You know, you got to, for instance, I talked myself out of becoming a medical doctor because I could not, for the life of me, dissect a worm.
Wow.
Now, I'm not going to be performing surgeries on worms. And, you know, I was, you know, thinking of people, not worms. But because I kind of kept messing up with the worm, I just figured, okay, then this isn't for me. I shouldn't do it. Instead of seeing it in layers of, it's just a damn worm. You're not. People aren't the size of a fucking worm. You're going to be working with people that are like, you know, life size.
Real bodies.
Yeah, real bodies.
Exactly.
And at the time, it was just, you know, you get so tunnel visioned into, well, if I can't do this, then I'm terrible. I gotta give it up, and all that stuff.
And for myself, the best way to combat that, because I've done it too. I almost had I'm not going to be an artist for that same reason, because I couldn't find my niche and what I was good at. And it's like back to that skill scaffolding thing. And so I have tons of clients who are like, nope, I'm not an artist. I don't know if this is going to work for me. And I told them, we're going to start super simple. Like, we're going to start with stick figure drawing. We're going to start with geometric shapes. We're going to like build it up and see what you like. But not to mention, art has so many different mediums. Like, you can start, like, I didn't start by automatically painting out a Picasso thing. I started tracing anime.
Right.
Yes.
You know, like figuring out what proportions mean. And I'm not saying that I do that in art coaching, because that's not the exact point, is to make the beautiful art. But in my programs, I do that. I start with less complicated things, get a feel for what the clients like to use, what they're fun and interested in learning more of, and then build onto the skills and the reflection questions. Like, as the reflection gets deeper, so do the skills, you know?
I
So
love that.
how did you come up with this? I mean, this
Yeah.
is really fascinating and impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Like, where did this come from? Is this art something that you've always used as like a coping for you, or?
I really appreciate the words. Thank you. Yes and no. So when I was younger, I always wanted to do things with my hands. I was always like, I'm a huge fidgeter. So art at first was like it was a fidget, it was a thing, and then like a doodle here to pay attention. And then like I kind of got the hang of a pencil and moved from this to this. But I didn't start pairing intentional reflection with it until I got older. And that's really when the magic changed for me. And like, creativity and creating art is valid just to create. If that's your only reason, that is amazing too.
Yep.
But where it came from is I started taking self-improvement courses to learn myself, to figure out, I'm stuck in my body, I want to have a good mind. Like, I want to make sure that my mind is as healthy as can be, right? So I took some courses, and they always said in those courses, keep a journal or do things. And I started doing art instead, and then journaling after. And then I was like, wait a second, I think I'm actually onto something here.
It is brilliant what you
Wow.
did.
Yeah.
Because for me, I cannot journal for the life of me. I've tried to keep so many diaries and things like that over the years that, like, yeah, maybe there might be 1 or 2 weeks in there, and then I would give up because I can't focus that long on something. And I like the idea of doing something and then coming into, you know, kind of reflect on what you did, as opposed to just trying to put words to paper immediately.
Yes, exactly. And it's not that easy for most people.
No.
It takes discipline for me to like sit down and normal people journal, like just straight journal every day. And I say normal people, that is such a like lax and stupid term. But like, for typical journalers who just sit down and let it go and can write for hours, that's not me either.
Yeah.
But I'm very much able to reflect on why I made those choices in that art, or reflect on the meaning behind like I said, that color, that shape, that choice. If I'm doing a collage, oh, why did I pick those images? You know?
It is easier for me too to kind of come back and, okay, so I'm wearing these clothes. Why did I pick those today? Or, you know, kind of having that prompt of something has already happened, or you saw something, or you made something, and then reflecting on it. I love that, like, beyond immensely loving that. Yeah, whatever. But you know what I mean.
Yes, I
It
do.
is amazing.
And even to like how we were talking before about how you're an overthinker after you've been masking for a while. It's even so simple as like recognizing, oh, I'm really hyper fixated and focused on this part of the interaction that I think went wrong. Why do I think I went wrong? Why am I focused on it? You know, and being intentional about asking yourself that why after. Like, that's not saying that you have to do an art piece on it or that you just have to journal about it, but the growth comes from the why, right?
Yes.
Like, and asking yourself about the things after the fact. Because my thought behind it, and you're exactly right here, is how can you reflect on something that you don't know you need to reflect on?
Yes,
Yeah. Right.
exactly. You can't grow if you don't even know where to start, because just telling people, well, you need to be better. Okay. Where? How? When? Why? And when you can provide those questions with answers, I think it makes it so much easier to then be better and do better, and, you know, open up new avenues of thought processes that you didn't even think were possible. Because, you know, you're not, so it makes you stop being fixated on one aspect. It makes you think of everything else at the same time. And it's not to say, don't go into the ADHD route and, oh, purple, oh, wait, blue, wait, oh, red, and start putting everything together that way either. But it's like a controlled ADHD moment kind of feeling.
Yes, exactly. 100%. That's exactly it.
So, real quick before we wrap it up, mental health. It sounds like you had some issues as a kid going through school because of wearing the brace and everything like that. Do you feel like through your art and life, you've kind of gotten a grasp on your mental health, or do you still struggle with it? Or did you never really struggle much?
I think I have bad days like everybody else.
Of course.
Sometimes, and like when something big happens, there's moments of struggle, but that's when I bring myself back to the basics. And I bring myself back to the literal basic start prompts of like, how am I feeling in this moment? Why am I feeling in this moment? Can I ground myself in this moment? Figure that out. I used to be super suicidal. Like super suicidal. I used to self-harm, trigger warnings. I should have said that sooner.
No, you're fine.
All right.
When I was a teenager and a younger kid, like that was my experience. I was one of those stereotypical like emo scene kids because that was how I was trying to find meaning and figure out and process. But I went from hating myself, hating my body, not understanding what I did, where I went wrong, or why, quote unquote, God would give me this horrible spine and not fix it, to purposeful reflection, realizing that it's just a part of who I am and there's nothing I can do about that except for the way I handle it. And I am about to get married for the love of my life. I see life in full color again. I like to say that when I was super depressed and everything was going on, I saw life in black and white and everything was great.
Yep.
But my life is in full color. I surround myself with amazing people. The art and the reflections have paved the way for me to live a bright, intentional, happy, joyful, for the most part, life. And like I said, that's not to say that there's not bad days anymore, but I definitely don't struggle with it nearly at all the same way that I used to. It's definitely not even on the same realm.
That's great. That's wonderful. And congratulations on getting married.
Congratulations on fighting that demon, and congratulations on the marriage and finding that, that person. And I think everybody, whether it's romantic or just platonic, needs to find that person. And they're out there. May not have found them yet, but they're there.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, you'll have it in multiple forms.
Yes. I feel like because of meeting you all that I have found not only my people in like multiple avenues, it's just, and I have Mike as my person. And it's just, it's kind of refreshing because we all need to be able to have that best friend that we can talk to, that we can share everything with. And sometimes we need that other best friend so that we can share what we hate about the first best friend. Because they drive us nuts.
Not in a gossipy way.
Yes.
Not like I'm talking shit about you. More like, this thing is happening with my other friend and I need to verbal process. I got to let it out and like speak it out.
Right.
100%. 100%.
I mean, you can't always talk to I can't talk to Mike about Mike. It just doesn't work.
I'm pretty sure he wouldn't want to hear it.
No, not at all.
I'm so sorry.
I've heard enough.
But I'm glad that you found a way to find your light, because suicidal thoughts, unfortunately, is a huge thing within people, especially people who are neurodivergent, who didn't know that their thought processes were just as valid and wonderful as a neurotypical person's. But because we think differently, we don't, see things the same way. And that's okay. And that's beautiful. And that's what I want to stop. If we can help one more person not go down that road, then I can die a happy person. I would rather not die yet, but I could die a happy person. And, I've got so many other people to touch. Well, that came out wrong. I don't know. I don't want to touch you like that, but
Yes, but like touch their lives.
yes, touch their lives and, help keep making a difference. And so that we get more of these stories where, everybody says I was down in that, but I pulled myself out. And
Exactly.
thank you. Thank you
And that's
for
a
all you
grand
do.
mission.
It is. But, I've always had grand ambitions for myself. Like, when I was little, I was going to be a lawyer and a doctor. So this is much easier.
And may I say, much more fitting for your personality.
Yeah.
I think
you.
that you're very
I
good at
agree.
this.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. But honestly and truly, thank you for what you do. Thank you for creating, your art so that you can help other people through art. And I hope that you stay in touch with us and we get to talk to you again. And
And how can people find you?
oh yeah, duh.
Absolutely. I would love to stay in touch. Staying on that note, I am on Instagram, I am on YouTube, and I'm on TikTok. I'm super small on the social medias still, but my tags right now are inspired and intentional, and you should be able to find me on those. And I'll be doing a lot more. I'm focused on growth and exposure because I feel like I can help a lot more people than I currently do.
Yeah.
But I also have my email if there's inquiries or anything like that too that I can send you guys.
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
definitely. We'll happily pop those up
On
on
the description.
on our description so that everybody can find you. And thank you again.
Yes.
It was an awesome conversation.
Thank you very much.
Friends.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Please leave a rating for us wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Othering Podcast is brought to you by Loudcore Productions in conjunction with your support. Your host, Mike and Dory Morris, graphics by Joshua Morris, and join us next week on the Othering Podcast.